Hello everyone, welcome back to HS English. Today we'll be looking at Curley's wife from Of Mice and Men. This is to help those doing IGCSE or GCSE English. And so yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into it. So with Curly's wife, the first paragraph what we can look at is how she has to deal almost with the increased sense of isolation, especially being the only woman on the farm. So she's powerless in society. She's objectified, almost seen as she's almost like a possession of her husband. That's why she didn't actually have a name. She's Curley's wife, and this kind of like possession aspect just shows the kind of isolation that women had to feel when it comes to the AF4. They're kind of a victim of misogyny, because she's also referred consistently as a tart. She has no power in society, and her husband Curly refuses to let her talk to anyone. She's separated from other women, a social outcast. Something you can like link that historical context in, and therefore she tries to combat her loneliness and her lack of, she's the only woman on the farm, with a kind of like sexuality and flirtatiousness. But she has to constantly deal with the hostility of ranch workers. She's seeing nothing more as jailbait and the fear themselves, because Curly, who's her husband, is of course the son of the boss, and therefore every farm worker fears being canned if they do something with Curly's wife, or even talk to her actually. And therefore, almost like the nature of the itinerant farm worker has made the ranch workers hostile to relationships, and therefore they just simply can't afford them. Because even George says he might even love to have a girl, but the kind of nature of the Great Depression, the sense of the migrant farm worker, the lack of income means there's no money to sustain someone else. It's just you and you alone, and therefore this makes Curly's wife very frustrated when it comes to talking to Lenny. As seen by the quote here, why can't I talk to you? I never get to talk to nobody. I get awful lonely. I get lonely. You can talk to people, but I can't talk to nobody. But Curly. Elsie gets mad. How do you like not to talk to nobody? And therefore, that kind of sense of being powerless is something that really defines Curly's wife. Clearly, she's just a possession of her husband. So, paragraph 2 is we look at what was Curly's wife's own dream, her version of the American dream. And it almost shows that it's not just related to men. Every single person in American society, even women, of course, have their own version of the American dream, as seen by Curly's wife. And she wanted to be an actress in the movies. Many women had similar dreams during the Great Depression. As Curly's wife said, she could have made something of myself, and maybe I will yet, because she feels that she can do it. She become an actress, sorry, but she never hears back from the Hollywood employee who promised to make her one, and therefore Curly's wife blamed her mother for it and had to hastily marry Curly, and who really only 2 weeks after goes into the warhouse and clearly just almost disbanding Curly's wife in a way. And therefore she's obviously, at the end of the day, linking back to paragraph 1, all she is a possession. She's just viewed as a sexual object, and there's nothing that almost defines her in a way. She has no right over herself, and this kind of sense of isolation and her failure in the American dream can almost tie you back to Robert Burns's poem, The Best Laid Schemes of Mice and Men Gang After Agley, where the title of this book of Mice and Men comes from. And it just shows the failure of Curly's wife's own dream, because what this quote means is that no matter how well we plan for the future, even the best made plans still often go wrong. And as I wrote here, meaning that even in the case of Curly's wife, her dreams failed to materialize, and now she's forced to live powerless on the ranch. And then again, linking to the sense of isolation throughout the any question really on Curly's wife. And paragraph 3, you can talk about, despite her lack of status, she's not completely at the bottom of the ranch hierarchy, because she still holds authority over crooks, and it shows that Curly's wife still has a sense of racial prejudices embedded within her, because although she herself is very low, she still can exert authority over crooks, something she almost relishes, just because she's so, desperate because she has no authority over anyone else. And this can be seen as, with the quotes here, like, I could get you strung up so easily, and it almost like forces crooks to retire into like the terrible protected dignity that crooks has. And it just shows that no matter how low you are in terms of a historical context, there was still immense racism towards coloured people. And this is what this paragraph can tie in, that yes, it's a paragraph on Curly's wife, but you can almost use the point that even though Curly's wife's so powerless, she still observes or exerts racism on crooks, and therefore you're linking to their historical context that there's a lack of freedom for coloured people during the Great Depression, especially with this segregation caused by the Jim Crow laws, the threat of the KKK, and mob lynching, things that were very, very prevalent within the kind of 1920s and 30s America, especially during the Great Depression. And yes, there was no justice, of course, for coloured people until the civil rights movement of the 1960s. Therefore, clearly, once again, through Curley's wife, you can see that kind of embedded racism. So yeah, thank you. And as you can see, we have Slim planned next. So yeah, continue to like and subscribe, and we'll hopefully get through the characters, and then I can move on to themes as well. So thank you.